Everyone who wanted to work and get paid had to use his system, which was implanted into the forehead. Everyone who wanted to buy anything had to have this implant as well. It acted as an electronic money bank account. To fill it, you had to work as usual. You could invest your capital by buying company stocks. You gambled your investment, betting to profit by buying into a hopefully successful venture, but risking to lose it should the ventures fail. Your inheritance was limited to family heirlooms and houses. Your total accumulated wealth was also limited to a certain amount, guaranteeing a very high standard of living. Anything over this was redistributed back to the people who you got it from. You were rewarded for this contribution in the form of highly valued merit awards that came with valued prestige. There was no income tax, but you paid a sales tax on all items you bought. Food, clothing, and other living necessities were exempt from tax. Sales tax paid for all public facilities and services like government, roads, hospitals, schools, fire department, and police. Within a few months of offering the accounts, everyone wanted an implant. It was free, came with a startup capital of $1 million, and gave you the promise of a secure future and the hopes of becoming wealthy. For the skeptical, there was an opt-out possibility. Their accounts would be locked, and after a year they would be able to rejoin and continue where they left off. By replacing banks and eliminating money speculation, poverty was greatly reduced worldwide. Everyone became their own bank. Everyone became an account. Accounts below the startup capital could spend only a maximum of $2,000 a month on products and services, but could still invest a part in stocks. Accounts over the startup capital could form public companies and sell company stock. Accounts over $10 million automatically overflowed to the accounts with the least capital and were duly credited with distinguished awards of achievement and merit. Few people refused to become accounts and to have the implants because of religious beliefs. They usually lived out in the country and tried to live off the dying land. They believed that the implants were prophesied in their Bible as the sign of the devil. For these believers, having the implants meant that they would not get into their heaven when they died. They usually lived very long lives, but eventually most died off. Greed took on a new meaning for many. It was no longer desirable to have as much as you can, but to give as much as you must, and thus get as many merit points as you can. New aims and goals surfaced. Competition changed to cooperation. Many rich ended up to be great philanthropists. Life became like a game of Monopoly. The developer of nuclear batteries, 2201 to 23,000. An opportune life came up as the son of a very powerful energy lobbyist. I became an engineer and developed an energy system that converted nuclear energy to electric energy at atomic scales. I developed this technology to make nanomachines that looked like and operated like normal batteries. All they needed were a refill of fissionable fuel every decade or so to make them run. Nature was dying and the world was crumbling. Most people lived indoors their entire time, never venturing out. It was mostly very overcast and wet. Nature, as if in fever, sweated profusely in an attempt at self-cleansing. The transportation of energy from centralized generators was becoming a problem without a solution. Nature was so destructive that power lines were constantly being broken. Many people suggested many solutions to overcoming this problem. Most agreed that smaller, decentralized versions of the centralized systems would be not only the best choice, but the only choice to take. Universities eventually developed a workable replacement for the centralized energy generators. I was the man in charge of the research project. It was a nuclear-run nanotechnical device that allowed everyone to have his own source of electric energy. The nanomachines functioned like conventional generators, except they were the size of molecules. Like Lego blocks, they were a replication of bigger generators run on petroleum. They were made of carbon, much like a diamond. The petroleum was replaced by fissionable uranium. The spark was replaced by a neutron generator. Neutrons made each uranium atom fission into a krypton and a barium atom, causing the piston to open. The opening piston caused a magnet to move. The moving magnet caused a current to flow. The nanomachines were etched on a chip of semiconductor material. Millions of them were coupled and packaged into a device the size of a small battery. They were called nuclear batteries. The batteries had enough uranium atoms to work for many years and were able to be refilled with uranium atoms. The fossil fuels that fueled generators for many generations finally became too scarce and expensive to be burned. What remained was used to manufacture plastics, which became very expensive. Energy requirements continued to increase, and nuclear fuel was used to meet the demand. The very high toxic radioactive wastes were directed up to the sun, and the sun's gravity pulls it in after 10 years and swallowed it. It eventually belched it out, but by this method the toxic wastes were so diluted in space as to be considered by the top scientists to be insignificant. Nuclear batteries allowed many new developments. Energy became what water was 500 years ago, freely available in any amounts. Objects were able to move faster and machines got smaller. Products became more affordable and people became wealthier.